Well, you've thought about it. I've thought about it. You've seen all sorts of events that make you wonder. And that is, what's the point? What's the deal of guys like Trump and Pence? What is it really? Why are they so distorted? Why are they such liars? The whole thing that they're promoting is all built on deception, fraud, domination. And to do that has to come up with all sorts of excuses to try and justify it. And even the whole economic system has a lot of, there's a lot of books. Economics. Economics 101 and onward. And there's all sorts of mathematic formulas to justify the system of domination and tyranny and lies and racism and religious fascism, and because of religion, an actual also domination, an excuse. So even though you hear the bells ringing to say, wake up, even though we're way off in the worlds of all around us, you just see the reality of living. And it's pretty straightforward. And how that economics can be anything. You can make up an economics to be whatever you want. To be whatever you want. And it has just given it a name, and then it becomes, there it goes. And they'll come up with all sorts of justifications and books and economics 101 to explain that system. When really, the whole thing is really just about you. And it always has been throughout history. It's had all sorts of names. It's had the ones you hear for the things of capitalism, socialism, communism, dictatorship, aristocracy, king, emperor, on and on and on and on. And all the way through it had the same reality of domination of a few. Domination. And domination by force. Because they came in and they're the ones willing to be violent. And by violent, they scared everybody else out and threatened everybody else out. And so they acquiesced to domination. Even though the thunder may pound in the background or fireworks go off, and you hear the traffic of city living, you still have an economy that's really about you. You. And none of those things of Trump and Pence and Christian fascism that's part of Pence, or Trump's, mafia and criminality and slime that he's all part of, all of that is the Republican Party. And all of them are, that is, because you just say, well, what is the Republican Party these days? Here it is, Trump and Pence. There's who they are, and you see who they embrace, that the Republican Party embraces. And they support the Ku Klux Klan, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, religious wackos like Pence, Christian nuts, And, of course, the money. The real issue, the Trumpy boys of big corporate money of all types. And there is criminal. That's who they are. That's the Republican Party. It's pretty clearly evident who they are. And what you see also by looking at the history is to understand that they don't work for any benefit to you. They just play on those wackoness, that religious wackoness, extremism, that religious-based desire to repress and control and deny human reality. And they count on supporting and giving money to, such just rabidly vile people as like Nazis, white supremacists, Ku Klux Klan. Because all you got to do is look at the history. Look who they are. Look what they've done. Look what those groups do. Advocate. What do they advocate? The destruction of your rights, your freedom. But those racists and whatnot, that's who the Republicans support. That's who's in the Republican Party. Those Christian extremists like Pence, they want to destroy your rights just as well and base it on a myth, fabrication, delusions from people 2,000 years ago who didn't know anything about anything. And wrote down all this stuff and made up all these stories and used those stories to justify repression of homosexuals, repression of women, repression of other ethnicities, repression of other religions. Let's remember history, folks. Christians brutalized Jews for over 1,000 years before the Nazis showed up. Christianity gave a carte blanche to brutalizing Jews all through centuries. And now it seems like, Christians always got to have some sort of fear object, hate object. And the new Jew is the homosexual. So of those wackonesses, there they all are in the Republican Party. These repressive people, this vile people, the violent people, and quite openly, intentionally ignorant people. They don't care about all the actualities that you do about an economics, about a culture. They just hold on to the fact that if they vote Republican, they're gonna give babies, more baby. Oh, lots more babies. Oh gosh, baby. Really is, it's that kind of stupidity. Even though the whole world clearly shows us that we got to come into the 21st century and accept the reality that we need birth control throughout the globe. Because human beings are quite openly and kind of ignorantly overpopulating the planet to the whole planet as well as human beings' detriment. Well, they don't care. These Republican wackos, they don't care. They don't hear any of that. They don't hear science. They don't hear facts. The same with the Nazi crowd that's part of the Republican Party. They don't care about that stuff, an economic disaster that Republicans always pull off to the detriment of you. They don't care. All they want is their racism, and know that their racism is supported by the Republican Party. And it is. Well, what do? Here's economics that you can make any which way. And you can say, make it this way, make it that way, throughout history. But always throughout history, the consistent, no matter what you called it, became the domination of a few and the money going to those few, while the rest of you suffered. And you were supposed to go out even and join militaries and die just to keep those few people rich. And as you've seen, when it is suffering, when it is disaster, when it is economic downturn, well, those rich people don't suffer. In fact, in other ways, they make it happen. They make the disaster happen to actually benefit them. It's a mess. An intentional mess. Not just an accident, made up accident. Oh gosh, that happened. The 2008 collapse. That was Republican economics. And it wasn't the first time. You go back and, the great hypocrite Reagan, drug trafficking Reagan. He was a cocaine trafficker bringing in tons of cocaine into the U.S. in his Iran-Contra scam, while at the same time he's standing up there with his wife saying, oh, geez, just say no to drugs. Just say no. And here's Ronnie boy, Ronald Reagan himself, is one of the biggest cocaine traffickers into the USA, with his partner, George Bush Sr. And they managed to turn it again. The economic collapse after Reagan. But the rich didn't suffer, though. Let's be clear. You did. In these economic downturns. You lost pensions. You lost jobs. You got bounced out of work and had trouble getting keeping your home and all that stuff going. But not the rich. Because they made the economics to support them no matter what. And see, you can make the economics be about you. As it should be, and should have been all through history. Be about you. Your air and water, your healthy food, your health care. It's all about you. And all that money of taxation is really an investment, it should be, an investment in you. You're paying yourself. And that tax money should go in so that programs and everything comes back to benefit you. You're paying yourself. And that's the economy. It's still jobs, still, businesses, enterprises going on all the time. But they're built on the correct idea that it should have been the one throughout history. It should be about you. And because of that, it's all of us working together for that benefit. We all pay into it. We all get it, type of thing. And we are the government. We, all of us, we're part of that government. We're just, and the system is really correct to say, all you're doing is you're voting for somebody to represent you. Not business, not corporations, not Trump, not religious extremists, not racists. All of which damage you. It's about your needs. That big collective reality. We all need clean air, clean water. We all need healthy, natural food free from pesticides and herbicides and toxic residue. We all will need health care in our lifetime. And there's your economy. And that's where you put your money. You have this thing called the budget. That's where you put all this stuff into you. And all your representatives are listening to you to make sure that that system is doing that. And right now, you know, just by how it's been going, that's not how it is. It's about money and the Trumps and the extremists and the wackos of the Republican Party. And their lobbyists, and the corporate lobbyists who pay big bucks. And because they pay those big bucks, they demand and they get your representatives' attention. Not you. And those big corporations write the legislation to benefit the corporation, not you. And that's basically how it's running right now, which is completely screwed up from what it already says right there in those documents. Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence. Because it correctly says the whole thing of government is we the people. Well, you know, you've been hearing for a while now this over and over and over in all sorts of ways, over and over. Republicans lying to you, as they do, because they're just like Trump, and have been way before Trump, but just like Trump, lying to you. And they've been saying, oh, you got to shrink government. Oh, gosh, you just got to shrink government. But, folks, they never tell you the second part of that, do they? See, government is you. So, we got to shrink government is to shrink you. Well, if you shrunk you and that, government, what is there? Corporations. A corporate tyranny over you. Which is what you're saying. What you want is a strong you. A strong force of you. Of government. We the people. You're first. You're first. Corporations, businesses do what you need. No business can poison your water. They're out of business. No business can pump toxins into your air. They're out of business, they do that. No business, an agricultural business, can dump vegetables into your grocery stores that still have toxic residue, pesticides and herbicide poison still on them. And you're supposed to clean up their mess. They can't do that because it's first about you. And it always has been. And that's all of us together. See, it changes the whole attitude. The thing of economy changes to this we the people, makes it about us, and it makes us about cooperation. Cooperation, not domination. And you can see how that goes against Republicans. Look at Trump. Look at the racists. Look at the Christian wackos who are seeking to dominate, control, and repress. I don't want to be we the people. Republicans never did. They're all about lying to you to hide that. Stoke up the fears and the ignorances and the racisms to justify all sorts of brutality against you. Poison and pollution of you. You can make an economy anything you want. It sure behooves you to make it about you. Because that's what it says there. That's what it's supposed to be, right there. We the people.